ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोर्श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेषु भिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदयादिकवये मुह्यन्ते यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, beginning from verse number 14. These are teachings of Lord Kapila to his sons, headed by Bharat Maharaj. And in the previous verses we read the process he gave of liberation by following the path of bhakti, which is mixed with jnana. So there are pure processes of Jnana Marg, Bhakti Marg and Karma Marg. These are the three major paths. And then there are mixtures of these paths. So usually people are following the mixtures. And he is explaining this. But the whole idea is to understand what is the pure process. It's not that one has to follow the mixture, but in mixture we can understand what the path without mixture is. So he gave the whole process how one has to perform devotional service to the Lord and then practice other things along with it. So now he says that karmashriyam hridya granthi bandham avidyam asadit pramattah anena yogena yathopadesham samyak vyapohiya parameta yogat. Says that this heart is the karmashaya. One word for heart is ashaya. Ashaya basically means where things are lying, like a storehouse. and karma is karma, so it is the storehouse of karma. Because all the impressions are stored in the heart. So therefore it is called karmashaya. And Hridaya Granthim Bandham. And this is where the knot is there. It's called the knot in the heart. And this is because of avidya. Avidya asaditam apramat. This knot is created because of ignorance. And ignorance is related with our own self. Means not knowing ourselves. So he says that a person being very careful, attentive, he should follow this yoga which was given above. Anena yogena yathopadesham samyak vyapohye uparameta yogat. He should follow this yoga as it has been instructed. And then one can give up this yoga also. Because it is a process. The word yoga has different meanings, and one of the meaning of the word yoga is the means. So means is that which is given up when you reach the destination. So yoga means union, yoga also means the means. Because mean is that which unites you with the goal. So that which unites you with the goal is called means, and therefore the word yoga. So when yoga is used in that sense, then yoga is obviously given up when you reach the goal. So just like you take the lift to reach a particular floor, when your floor comes, then you give up the lift. What you call elevator in America. In Britain, British English they call it lift. So elevator, it's not that well, the elevator is very good, it brought me to the 37th floor. Now how can I give this up? I'm going to hang on to it. Right? So some people use the boat to cross the river. After crossing the river, they lifted the boat and put it on their head. And they're going around with the boat, and someone asks, why are you doing this? Well, this was very useful. It had so much welfare to me. We have to honor the boat. So now you carry the boat. So you give up the boat and you walk away. So therefore he says that anena yogena yathopadesham samyak vyapohya uparameta yogat. That one should become free from the yoga after you have reached your destination. And the destination is when you have given up this knot in the heart and you have become free from the karma, then you can give up that process. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti, he comments that tatascha linga bhangarthak sadhanad upramed. He says after that one should give up the process or the means by which one destroys one's subtle body. Because at the time of liberation you become free from the subtle body. All these acquired material ego, the impressions in the heart, all these things are given up. So then that process is also given up. One has to follow the process as per instruction. Yathopadesam, this is a very important statement or word here. He says Yathopadesam yogena. Yoga as it was instructed, not yoga as it is concocted by people. People are making their own yogas now. So that will not work. So he says Guru Upadesham Anatikramya Yo yoga upayastena natu panditya balat pustak darshan matra deva soyat prokshate. So he makes it very clear that one has to follow the process as instructed by the Guru and not make one's own process. So the process which is given by the Guru, to follow that and not by one's own scholarship make something new, or by reading books and then one conjures up certain processes which people do these days and think that this is what I have to follow. So this is a very popular idea among the mind of people that we are all individuals and everybody has to edge their own process, and no two people follow the same path. I have to walk from where I am. That is true that you have to walk where you are, but you have to follow the process as given by the GPS. Right? So GPS is the Guru Parampara system. So you have to follow that. Not that you walk from where you are and then you make your own concoction. So that is not going to work. So therefore he says that Guru Upadesham Anatikram, not adding or subtracting to what the Guru has instructed. Natu Panditya Balat, not because I am very big scholar, I know so many things and I don't need any Guru or any teacher. Pustak Darshan Matra, because there are many books available now how to do it yourself. So you don't need a Guru. Why do you need a Guru? You are your own Guru. So just follow the book. But book is written by somebody. So then he becomes your Guru. So he says, don't just depend on the books. Books are meant to be followed under the guidance of a teacher. Books are not independent of the teacher. Books are necessary, but we have to follow them through a teacher. So therefore it says, Natu Svot Prekshate, not because of one's own preksha or conjecture, speculation, your own imagination, or you cook your own soup. So then you will remain in the soup, not get out of it. So if you want to boil in your own soup, that is fine. But if you want to get out of the mess, then you need help. Tadarthastu bhaktim kurvita eva. And for that purpose, what is the process? Bhakti. So without bhakti, no process works. Whether it is Ashtanga Yoga or this yoga or that yoga, it is not working without bhakti. Bhakti is the most important ingredient. Like you make a soup, then you need water. You may put many other things, but water is most important. So bhakti is like water, necessary for any cooking. Without water you cannot cook, you will burn it. So therefore, it says that bhakti has to be performed. And then he quotes Bhagavad Gita, Yaduktam Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na Shochati Na Kankshati Samah Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Lavate Param Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati Yavan Yaschasmi Tattvata Iti Tatpadartha Anubhav Siddhepi Bhakte Sarvatha Eva Atyaga. So then if we have to perform bhakti, do we give up bhakti also? It says no, bhakti you cannot give up. Because we read the process which was bhakti mixed with gyan. So that gyan part is given up, bhakti will continue. And this is what Krishna says, that even when you have attained Brahma Bhuta, you have become realized in Brahman. Prasannatma, you are happy, you are blissful. Na sochati, na kankshati, you don't become distressful, you are free from all desires. So he says even such a person, he continues with bhakti. So sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti labte param. At that time you get para bhakti. Before that you are performing sadhana bhakti or bhakti in practice. Then you become perfected in bhakti and you continue with the bhakti then. then these other things are not needed. You become a complete devotee. So bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyastasmi tatvata. Then with that bhakti, you become God realized. So then God reveals Himself because of pure devotion. So therefore it says that bhakti is atyaga, you don't give up that, never. Atmaramasya muniya ityadi pramanad vyakheya eva. And he gives another proof. He says that even those people who have become Atmaramas or who have become self-realized, they continue to perform bhakti. Atmaramasya muniyo nirvanthe pyorukrami kurvanti ahatkim bhakti itham bhuta gunohari. Because God's qualities are such that you cannot forget Him. If you become Brahman realized, there is nothing in Brahman. Brahman is impersonal, there are no qualities. But God is a person. So even such people, they perform devotion to God. Because qualities of God are so attractive that one cannot give up. So that's why bhakti is considered as an eternal path. So by performing sadhana bhakti, or bhakti in practice, you come to sadhya bhakti, or perfected devotion. That is love of God, prema bhakti. And then becomes your nature. So now you cannot live without bhakti. Your whole being becomes imbued with devotion. So that's why even the great souls, atavai kavyo nityam, so that in the learned process, kurvanti hatkim bhaktim, nityam parmaya muda, vasudevi bhagavati, kurvanti atma prasada. So even the kavis, the learned people, the poets, the scholars, they perform bhakti nityam, always. Not for 1 or 2 days, not a few hours. It's like people worship Durga now, today is the last day. So they worship for 9 days, then over. And then bhakti is finished. So this bhakti is not like that. Tavai kavyo nityam, bhaktiya paraya parmaya mada. So with happiness, supreme bliss they perform. So Vasudeva Bhagavati, they do this bhakti to Vasudeva, continue doing it. Ato bhakti bhinnad upayad viramed iti kechida. So therefore what Rishabdev is saying here, that one should stop the means, so only those which are different from bhakti, which are not directly related with bhakti, like staying aloof. So staying aloof has nothing to do with bhakti. You can stay aloof or you can stay with others, there should be bhakti. Staying aloof is not part of devotion. Then he continues, Putranscha Sishyanscha Nirupo Gururva Malloka Kamo Badanugrahartha Itham Vimanyuranusishyad Atasgyan Nayojayet Karmasu Karma Mudhan Kam Yojayan Manujortham Labheta Nipatin Nastradrisham Higarte. So this is a verse which is instructing, or Rishabdeva is instructing that how one should, if one knows this, then one should teach it to others, those who are dependent on one. So he says putrans, that if father has children or mother has children, and mother or father understands devotional bhakti, then they should instruct their children about bhakti. It is their duty to do that. And Sishyascha, and if there is a guru, then he must teach bhakti to the disciples. The duty of the guru. And Nripa, if somebody is a king, then it is the duty of the king to make sure that all the subjects follow bhakti. Not that they are just enjoying. So it is king's responsibility that subjects, just like he was a king, Vishnudev. And we read that he went into the assembly of the sages, and that's where he was giving this big lecture about bhakti. So king has a very big responsibility. Otherwise one should not become king. He will say that later on. And Gururva, and definitely Guru has the special duty, Malloka Kamo Badanugrahat. So if the parents, if the teacher, if the king, they are desiring to attain God, if they want blessing of God, then they should teach their dependents, their subjects, their disciples, children about bhakti. This will bring them the grace of the Lord. Itham vimanyur anushashyadatas jnana. And one should teach it without getting angry. Because sometimes these children or the disciples or students, they may not understand easily or may not be able to follow everything. So then the parents or the teacher or the kings, they have to be patient with them, tolerant and compassionate. So therefore it says that Vimanyur anushashyad atas jnana. You should teach to the ignorant people. Nayojayet karmasu karma mudhan. And should not encourage people to engage in fruitive activities. That you work, you make money and you enjoy. This is the fruitive activity now. In the olden days it was sacrifices. Perform sacrifice and get some material benefit. So he says, one who knows the path of bhakti should not encourage others to participate in materialistic goals, to achieve something material. But one should only encourage one to become a devotee. So this is the instruction of Rishabdev. Why is that? He says, Kam yojayan manujo artham labheta nipatiyan nastradrisham higarte. He says, what is the benefit of engaging people in the fruitive activities? What will they gain? Because if you encourage people to make money, as is the trend now, everything is about economic development. Progress means economic development. What is the GDP? 10%, 12%, 8%. So everything is counted. So what happens by that? What is the outcome? It doesn't bring happiness. It's only competition and distress. So he says, if a blind person is falling into the ditch and you have eyes to see, would you guide him to fall in the ditch, or you will help him not to fall into the ditch? He says, who is that person who has eyes and he sees that there is a blind man and he is moving towards the ditch and he is going to fall in it, and he will encourage him to fall in it? He says, no one will do that. So in the same way, by engaging people in fruitive activities, we are just encouraging them to become more and more entangled. Then your karmashya will become full of many more programs. You will have many programs coming one after another. Your screensaver will also be a program like that, which will attract you to something. Even when you have nothing to do, then some desire will come, I should do this, I should go there, I should watch this So this is what people are doing now. So many things are created to keep you busy in the material life. Like now people are walking, so they put these things in the air. Yesterday I was surprised that even in that village where we went, and then there was one man, one young boy. He came in the jeans, shoes, this, and he's having this earplugs, listening to some songs or whatever. So your senses are completely captured by the technology of these gadgets. They don't give you any time, no spare time to think about God or anything else. You are occupied. Just sit down in the airport, then you can watch something. You're sitting in a taxi, I go to New York, I take a taxi, and then back side of the taxi also they have a small TV going on. So they don't let you with yourself. And then what happens that people become so accustomed to it that they are very scared to be with themselves. The biggest fear of human beings now is to be with oneself. You are always trying to hook up with somebody. If you are left alone, then you go crazy. People become bored. They are frustrated if they are alone. So even if you are alone, you have to be doing something. So he says that don't encourage people to materialistic activities. So the commentator says, Evam bhakter gun bhavam antarbhut kavalyam cha uktva bhakter updeshtapi kritartha syat ityaha putrani. So he says in this way, after explaining that this liberation is within bhakti, or you can attain liberation through bhakti, which is secondary, because the path now was following the gyan, following bhakti mixed with gyan. So gyan is that which gives liberation, bhakti is that which gives love of God, which is beyond liberation. So bhakter gun bhavam antarbhuta kavalyam cha. After explaining that how liberation is secondary to bhakti, he explains that one who instructs people about bhakti, how he becomes perfect. So by teaching bhakti to others, the teacher also attains perfection by the grace of the Lord. So this is said here. Vimanyu sikshitasya karne api kopasunya. But the teacher has to be compassionate and tolerant. Teaching is not an easy job. It's actually one of the most difficult things to teach anything to anybody these days. And to teach bhakti is the most difficult thing. Because bhakti means surrender, and nobody wants to surrender. People want to be Lord and Master and controllers. They don't want to hear the word surrender. Surrender, the word itself is like jarring to the ears. It doesn't go well with our mood. So if I tell yes, remain free, independent, enjoy, then that's very appealing. So that's why it's very difficult to teach bhakti. And it is for this reason Krishna says that bhakti is very confidential, it is a secret. Because it has to be told only when people are ready for it. If you tell it to people who are not ready, then they will become angry at you, mad at you. So for that reason he says that teacher has to be Vimanyu, he has to be very, very tolerant. Because when he is instructing, then the students may not follow it because of their past samskaras, past habits, and lack of understanding, insincerity, or whatever reasons or circumstances are such and they cannot follow immediately, because we are also living in difficult situations which are not very conducive to bhakti these days. Previously, this Varnashram system was designed to support bhakti. That was the idea behind Varnashram. Varnashram acharvata toshena puma Vishnu aradhate pantha manyat toshakaranam. So the practice of Varnashrama was to do devotion to God, basically. That was the real idea behind it, at a mass scale. Although people were not knowing it directly as bhakti. So it was very supportive of bhakti. But now we don't have that system. So now the whole society is against bhakti. In the Varnashram system, right from the beginning, surrender was taught. So children, they have to respect parents like God. This means they already learned how to worship. When they went to school, they have to worship teacher like God. And then the guests were treated like God. Husband was treated like God. Then you have forefathers, they are treated like God. So the whole idea was to treat everything like God. So then it is no problem to surrender to God. You are already used to it. Now, right from the beginning, you are told that there is no God besides you. You are the only God. So how can you surrender to anyone? So therefore it is very difficult, and that's why the teacher has a tough job. So he says, Vimanyu Sikshitasya Akarnayapi Kopasanya. What the teacher has taught to the student, and the student is not following it. So teachers will not immediately become furious, angry, but be tolerant. Karmasu na yojayet, karmeva kuruta iti na updeshet. And he should never instruct the students to engage in karma. This means materialistic activities. He should not encourage them, he should not instruct them for that. Then one may say, well, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has said something different. He nearly says that na buddhi bhoyadam janiyed jnana karma sangina josyet sarva karmani vidwan yukta samachana. That one should not disturb the ignorant people. Na buddhi bhoyadam janiyed. Those who are attached to materialistic activities, don't try to disturb them, but engage them in karma. And following oneself also karma. So how does this fit with here, this, when you are saying don't engage them? So I say that it is jnana updeshtu vishyam, not bhakti updeshtu vishyam. So there the instruction is given to a person who is the teacher of Jnana Marg. And here the instruction is for the teacher who is the teacher for Bhakti Marg. That means a person who is following the path of Jnana, he should not disturb people unnecessarily. Rather, he should engage them in karma so that slowly they will come to the path of Bhakti. Otherwise, what will happen that if he makes them give up the path of karma and brings them to the path of Jnana, they will not be able to follow the path of Jnana because they are not qualified for it and they have given up karma, so they will be lost. So that's why Krishna says, na buddhi bhedam janiyed jnana karma sangi jnanam karma sangina. But devotion, everyone is qualified for this. And anyone who has faith can engage in devotion. The only qualification required for bhakti is faith. To follow the path of jnana, one needs not only faith but also renunciation. Detachment is very important. And if one is not detached, then one cannot follow this process. And if he makes someone give up the path of karma, and the person is still not detached, then he will become a hypocrite. Because he will come to this process of jnana, he cannot follow it, he cannot go back because we have brought him here. So he will just put up a mask and deceive himself and others. So bhakti can be performed by anybody. Needs, of course, faith in the process, which is necessary for any path. So he says that the one who is a teacher of bhakti, he should not try to engage people in karma. Not let them become devotees. Because in path of bhakti, you don't have to give up what you are doing. You have to do it for the Lord. You have to just dedicate yourself to God and consider yourself a servant. In case of Jnana Marga, you have to give up physically. In bhakti, you don't have to give up physically. Is the distinction. लोका स्वयं श्रेयसी नष्ट दृष्टिर यर्थान समीहेत निकाम कामः अन्योन्य वैर सुख लेश हेतो अनंत दुःखम च न वेद मूढ़ः. So he says that people in general, they do not know what is good for them, what is beneficial for them. People have no idea. Although they don't accept this, everybody thinks I know. So this is the problem, that people don't know that they don't know and they think they know. This is problematic. So he says, Lokaha swayam shreyasi nashtamishti. He says they have lost vision or they are blind about their own good. What they are considering is good for them is the very source of trouble for them. So one who knows this, he should not pull him into the same ditch. So arthan samiheta nikamekam. Says people in general, they are very, very attached to material enjoyment. Nikam kama. Nikam means completely. So their absorption, their meditation, their thought process, their dreams are all for material enjoyment. They are completely absorbed, samiheta. They are like in a samadhi of enjoyment. Cannot think of anything else. And then because of this, anyonya vaira. Because of this, they are envious of each other. Because I want something and then somebody else also wants that. And then I have to compete. So there is always a competition in the material world. So spiritual world is no competition. Material world, no competition. It's never without competition. You have to always compete with somebody, somewhere. You're always trying to do better than others. In the spiritual world, there is only one competition, and that is you compete with yourself. And you want to do better than yourself. That is only competition. And in material life, you always have some rival. You want to get ahead of this person. So there is this tussle, tension, this rivalry, enviousness, jealousy, anyonya vaira. Sukalesha hetor ananta dukkham. And he says that there is very little happiness, but there is a lot of suffering. So you enjoy a little bit, then you suffer for a long period of time. So this is material life. And this he says Naveda Buddha. He says that the foolish fellow does not know this. So world is full of mudhas. Mudha means deluded people. Mudhas means those who think they know when they don't know. Who think that they are going somewhere and they are just going in circles. So there are plenty of such mudhas. There is no lack of them. So he says, don't try to confuse them further. Although they may not listen to you, but if some people are willing to listen to you, then at least try to help them. Etadev padayati loka iti tribhi. So in the next three verses, Rishabdev is explaining this very point, that how the teacher should not create more confusion. So unfortunately this is what is happening at present. And there are a lot of teachers available, but they have made a business out of it. Teaching is not a business. Teaching and business cannot go along together. Because when you do business, then your interest is to make money. Your interest is not teaching. So teaching should be kept separate from business. It should not be for the sake of making profit. That should not be the prime goal. The prime goal of teaching should be that I want to educate these people. So now education is also run like any other business setup. If you go to school, if you go to an industry, then they are basically run on the business pattern. If people learn there, that is their good fortune. The people who are running, their interest is that how they can make profit out of it. Like when you go to hospital, and if you get well, you are fortunate. Because the interest of the person who is running the hospital or nursing home or dispensary is to be profitable. In the process, you can cure your disease, you must have good karma. So they are at the end of the day, they are calculating how much money they have made and what are the expenditures. Because everything is money oriented, economy oriented. The goal is artha. So education should not be like this. That's why yesterday when we were reading the duties of the Brahmanas, it was very clearly stated that a Brahmana he should not serve others. Because his duty is to teach. If he starts serving others, which means he is getting salary from others, then what will happen? He will become dependent on them. Then he has to do what they are asking him to do. So a teacher has to remain independent. When a teacher is not independent, then it's almost impossible to teach. So one has to understand this principle very clearly. So that's why Brahmanas were kept independent previously in Varnashram system. We read that their most important duty was to study the Vedas, which means knowledge, and then teach it to others. Pathan Pathan. Studying and teaching. So the most important thing they were expected to do. And then only the society progressed. Why India once upon a time was great? Because of this system. Although now everybody is criticizing the system. everyone is against it, not understanding the basic principle, because obviously the system is not making for making money. They won't help you to make money. So it goes against the principle of economy. But what is the use of making economic development if you are not happy? The system, Varnashrama, was to make you happy. Even if you are poor, you are happy. Brahmanas were poor, but they were satisfied. They were happy to teach. It was their passion to teach. So you cannot be passionate about something if it is not your nature, and if you are doing it simply for money, then you do your job and get out of it. So Varnashram means to do what you are passionate about. So he says, etadeva upadi iti loka iti trivi. Arthan bhogya padarthan drishtan adrishtan sindhikamam atishayana kamaya. He says that people in general, they are very much attached to getting material objects, material enjoyment. This is just natural. Unless somebody has got some very deep sanskaras from previous life, the majority of the people are like that. Nikam, very much interested to acquire possessions, wealth, power, high position, name, fame, glorification. These are the attractive goals. So he says, because they have no vision, no understanding, they are nasta drishti, and either they are looking for objects of enjoyment in this life or in the next life. So now next life part is also gone. At least when you are looking for happiness in the next life, going to heaven, you still have to believe in soul. You have to believe in rebirth. So now that is also not there. So you are just having a very short-term plan. How can I enjoy now? Or in a very short future. Nothing about next life or anything beyond few years. So people make plans, they have retirement plans or security for old age, but nothing what will happen after dying. Where do you go after you die? So even when people were following the sakam karma, the path of materialistic activities, even they were better than the modern materialistic people, because they were thinking of next life. So because of thinking in the next life, they believed in something other than the physical body. So therefore they were open to the idea of God and something above human mind, something beyond the material creation. So these are some of the nice instructions of Rishabdev, and he will continue to speak on this importance of giving knowledge to others. We'll read that tomorrow if there is any question on this.
Sometimes Varnashram system it looks very important, and sometimes important not at all. How to see this in a connection with bhakti?
Well, it is important when you understand it as a supportive feature for bhakti, and it is not important if it is only varnashram without bhakti. So, important thing is bhakti, and if it is supporting, then it is important. But if you are only after varnashram, then it is not important. So you follow traffic rules, and traffic rules are important because with that you reach your destination. But if you have no destination and you follow only traffic rules, When you go on circles on the belt highway, you don't go anywhere. So then these traffic rules are not important because they don't take you anywhere. So rules are not going to take you anywhere if you don't have a goal. So if goal is bhakti, then they are important. Then varnashram is important because it helps you to reach your goal. Okay? Hare Krishna.